Never apply for the job. Don't send your CV. If you're a mid-sized company, known brand, in one day you will receive more than 900 applicants in 24 hours. 95% of them will be irrelevant. To get through all this AI screening is to be referred. I usually just say don't apply, be referred.
What are the titles that should start considering maybe a career shift?
All the repetitive tasks that doesn't require complex negotiations, for example, onboarding or customer support, these things will be definitely replaced.
Elena, thank you for being here. You have a lot of experience regarding talent acquisition. You've been in Bumble, in Boston Consulting Group, and in Sweatcoin as well, taking and managing all the talent acquisition for these companies. We're now seeing how AI is disrupting this space. So with your expertise, we wanted to start today's podcast, which we're gonna be covering how AI is disrupting the human resources space and talent acquisition. Elena, how are you seeing the space being affected and impacted by AI, and what are your main concerns?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me and for the invitation. I'm happy to be here and see you and talk about these topics as well and share my experience and a little bit more perspective. Maybe a super quick recap. I used to work 12 years within corporates and scale-ups like Sweatcoin, BCG, Bumble, you mentioned, across different countries, Russia, CIS, Europe. I used to work in the UK and Middle East and even hired in the US. I would say the only thing is that recruiting is recruiting everywhere. More or less is the same. The difference is only the timelines. And now I'm developing my own AI startup as well. It's AI quizzes for learning and engagement, or trainings and team buildings. We're gamifying learning to make it more engaging, interactive, efficient, and fun, and personalized with AI. So regarding AI in human resources, there are like two things. First of all, what I see is definitely the rise of AI agents in terms of like automating the most like easiest and repetitive tasks. Like, for example, customer support, the first line of customer support now could be done easily with AI agents. But obviously when you need something more complicated, like access to your account to move some, I don't know, invoices, etc., etc. Obviously, you will need second and third line of supports. But what I see that AI definitely is changing the way we broach customer support, and usually the first line is where we have the biggest head count, and this one will be definitely sooner than later will be replaced by AI agents for sure. And everything related to any kind of operational repetitive tasks regarding, for example, onboarding questions, etc., where you used to go to like people operations manager asking questions about, oh, how can I get my holidays, how I can do that. Now you can talk to AI agent basically on your Slack or whatever and asking those questions, taking your holidays, asking for your pay slips, etc. So you don't need any operations manager for that. But maybe for more complex questions where you really need to make some changes or negotiate something, we will not see much changes in terms of replacement by AI. So people who are more in creative strategic roles and doing complex stuff, don't worry, you will not be replaced.
Quick break. I wanted to thank you for showing up to the Agentic Project, the podcast where Danny, my co-host, and I interview founders building the latest AI tools in the space. This podcast wouldn't be possible without flowhawk.com, the AI agency that Danny and I run in order to help teams optimize their operations. If you think that your team could have more efficient operations, go to flowhawk.com. Okay, let's keep going with the podcast. So who is the profile that actually has to worry? Because you were mentioning at the beginning the front line of customer support. That could be one. What are the titles that should start considering maybe a career shift?
Reskill, I would say, yeah, or upskill, because AI is not
Upskill.
something that will definitely, like, AI will not replace people 100%, never, I think, but it will definitely elevate our work, because in the same period of time now we can do, I would say, depends, 3 times more. Now engineers, we will not replace senior engineers. We still need a senior engineer to like, but with AI, they can do like 3 times more work in the same period of time. For example, if you are an entrepreneur or you're CEO of a company, you think, you can think twice. You can think two ways. First of all, okay, now we have AI, let's fire everybody. Or you can say, now we have AI and we can do three things more and go to the market way faster, deliver better, quicker than our, for example, competitors with the same amount of resources we had before. So there are two ways of thinking. You remember then the story with Klarna when I think ChatGPT 3 was introduced and Klarna CEO was like, okay, now we fire everybody and then we return everyone back.
And then 6 months
So
later, they just rehired.
yeah, but I paid way more than they paid initially. So there's two different perspectives. I wouldn't say there will be like definitely some roles will be transformed. Like for example, definitely everything that you can automate and all the repetitive tasks that doesn't require complex negotiations, some changes, etc. Like just answering repetitive questions, for example, when it's about onboarding or customer support, yeah, these things will be definitely replaced. But the second and third line will be still there. And maybe some work of like junior researchers, because AI now does great research. You just need someone senior to look after that. Maybe some works of like analytics in banks that they had to work with a lot of data. AI does better. First line of in healthcare, for example, when you go to the doctor, usually there is a person like a nurse who make the first like diagnostics, asking your questions. They made a huge research about that and they found out that AI actually does this work better and more accurate and nicer because people get tired, people can make mistakes, etc., etc. So AI does this work better. But it's all about initial screening, same in human resource, initial CV screening, initial calls, everything where you don't require complex decision making is either yes or no, so it's a these jobs will be definitely transformed or replaced by AI agents.
And
That's super interesting. Actually, one question here regarding the second line that you are mentioning, that it's not supposed to be replaced, because we are seeing more and more the ability of AI agents to take actions rather than just replying to things. Do you think it's possible a scenario where this second line of workers is heavily reduced, but they are just supervising the action to be
Not
taken?
right now. Not right now, because there are two things in big corporations. What I'm like, I know you used to work in very high compliance organizations because you have to be compliant. And every mistake, any leak of data or anything is a huge risk for the companies, especially for the public companies. So first of all these AI agents, they have to be very, very compliant and secure. To ensure the security, first, we cannot 100% ensure that they will not hallucinate. There are still, for example, you are a finance company, you running payroll or providing any financial services like invoicing, accounting services, etc. AI at the moment, you can ask, hey, can you find me this invoice? Yes, they can find you this invoice and make this. You don't need accountant anymore to check the numbers, etc. But AI cannot change the invoice, or the AI cannot send it to the client saying, "Hey, we changed our I don't know bank details." No, you still need a human to do that. Maybe in the future when the learning algorithms will be more advanced, for sure. But at the moment, I don't see that as something that will change. But to find information or answer typical questions or repetitive questions, yeah, for sure. Nowadays, I can see the rise of AI agents, especially in customer service in a huge bank. Every time you call any huge company, electric company, Endesa, for example, you never talk to a human. Yeah. Or, for example, when I do returns and retail as well, you never talk to a human, you talk to an AI agent.
I have to say that at least for the Telefonicas and Endesas and larger companies, as of today, or at least the last conversations that I've had with them, the agents, they have the agents, the whatever AI is behind, if we can call it AI behind those phone calls, it's still pretty, like, it feels pretty rudimentary, where it's like, okay, if you have this issue, dial 1. If you have this other issue, dial 2. Okay, you dialed 1. If you have this other issue, dial 1. And so on. This is some, yes, there's some workflow and there's like some sort of an automation there, but they are not yet at the place where they could be with the technology that already exists. Like, it's not an 11 Labs type of voice processing the entire conversation very human. You are still feeling like you're talking to a robot, and it's like, oh, this sucks. Like the user experience right now with these larger customer support, it's still
You
not
see?
as I think so. I think so personally. In most of these cases, they are not where they could be with the tools
And
that
you're
already
asking
exist.
Danny if they will replace the second line.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
the thing
actually,
is,
They know.
go, Danny.
yeah, because this is super interesting what you are mentioning. Like, how is it possible that at the level of technology that we are today, like these big corporations are like some of them haven't still migrated like these automated responses
Yeah.
that are just an if and else traditional loop. And because we are speaking about very simpler tasks, it's just routing. How is it possible that they have not even replaced this robotic voice with just an 11 labs voice? So you have a lot of experience in corporate. I'm pretty sure there are very obvious reasons, but why do you think it's so hard for them to even make these smallest and but low-hanging fruit changes?
Have you ever worked in corporate, or have you ever tried to sell anything to enterprise?
We've tried selling to enterprise. Yes, it's tedious and it's long. We have personally, well, Danny, you worked at Deloitte. I don't know how they say it in
No,
English.
I did like an internship at Accenture and an internship at
Accenture,
Infineon,
yeah.
like, but just
Yeah,
internships.
yeah.
But still, it's like ChatGPT was released like 2 years ago, right? And these companies like are still using like this super simple technology. Not sure what. And I know it's hard. It's hard
It takes
for
time. It
corporates
takes time.
to move, right? But that much.
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, because first of all, the decision-making process is very long because you have to involve a lot of people and a lot of stakeholders to like put everyone in the same page and to ensure that everything is compliant, that everything is secure. For example, if anytime when you go with the technology, companies really like most of the agents are based on like basically API with a current LLMs. How do you secure that your like company data will not be leaked to train LLM, et cetera, et cetera? So obviously there are a lot of risks that they have to consider, and by tweaking them, by going back and forth, negotiating. For example, even for our tool, that's why we're mostly focused on SMBs, companies that are up to like 3,500 people, because decision-making process is way faster. And for example, once I was talking to one huge enterprise company, pretty well-known consulting firm as well, and they told me like, oh, decision-making for us is like around 12 months to introduce one little tiny tool, which is, or for example, one company that is selling medical devices, they said, oh, we use Microsoft Teams, you have to be compliant with that, and you have to be integrated with Microsoft Teams. And yeah, so, and they all use, for example, Internet Explorer. What is the name of this browser? Edge, that nobody uses, but they have to use. And apparently our app is not even opening there. And I was like, because I was thinking nobody uses it. No, apparently a lot of companies are still there. It's a very long process for the companies to innovate, especially for huge corporations, because every time you involve a legal department, basically, I remember I was working on big project, like not super big. It was a very small project, like little tiny policy that just was it was a company-wide policy. And it's literally 2 pages document, basically, that I created literally in 5 minutes. But I had to onboard 40 people and had to have calls and approvals for everybody, and everybody was changing the document constantly and adding their inputs, etc., that were not necessary at all. And after all these 40 iterations, we came back to the first version that I made in 5 minutes, and because all these changes didn't make any sense, and 9 months later we finally released it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
incorporate you can innovate. The problem is that the implementation process will
takes time
forever.
Fair enough. Reconducting the conversation back to talent acquisition, which I think is where you have a lot of expertise there. AI is complicating a lot from our point of view. The hiring process, both for candidates and for employers. And as we see it is for candidates, you have to like outstand with your CV, like an AI CV processor that is scraping hundreds of CVs per day in these larger companies. As far as I've read, this is how they're doing it. So you have to stand out to those like AI automated systems to spot the real talent. And on the other end, for the employer side, when you're doing this beyond, okay, you've been already selected, your CV is great, you've been working in Stanford and whatever, cool, credits for you, kudos. But now, how do you like the next stages of the hiring process, which include doing these tests and these little projects and so on? How do you spot when something has been done with AI and the person is not really worth what they are showing they are worth? And how do you differentiate the BS AI generated stuff from the, okay, yes, this guy is actually, or this person is actually worth it? The thing is getting complicated.
Yeah. Good question. Actually, AI is an instrument. It's not something that's like gonna replace like the way you think or the way you do your work. It's just an instrument that help you and elevate you and make you faster and bit more productive. The point is you can use this instrument in different ways. You can use it in a smart way or you can use it in a dumb way. So how you spot anything like BS, as you mentioned, made by AI? Well, if you go to LinkedIn, you can see immediately all the posts written by AI, or all the comments written by AI, or all the messages that you got in your inbox written by AI. You can spot it easily, right? It's so obvious. It's like it doesn't have any essence, it's like
Yeah.
very shallow, no individual approach at all, etc. So when you use it in like a little kind of dumb way, this is the outcome. But if you use it in a smart way, for example, I consult people on how to land a well-paid job, and my clients work at Monzo and Meta and Apple, at Google, and big other great locally at Glovo, Travel Perks, SEMrush, Criteo, etc. And I'm helping them to find a job. But also I use AI, I leverage it to create a great CV, but in a smart way, very concise, impact driven, outcomes driven, etc. Not like beautiful shallow words with complicated adjective explaining how you orchestrated or whatever. Like, no, nobody talk this way. And I use AI as well to write a CV that will be later probably screened by AI as well, but in a smart way. Another thing that you ask about how to outstand among all these CVs, for example, written by AI by so many people who are writing these beautiful cover letters, etc. First of all, nobody reads cover letters. Almost nobody. The best thing is to write a very short, essence, concise message to the relevant person and be a relevant candidate. So my advice always...
I want to enhance this. I want to give like importance to this last question, that last thing that you mentioned, which is it's good to write a message to the person who reads this. You mean via the CV, via LinkedIn, via email? What is the approach?
Yeah. So there are different approaches, but my advice always let's first think about that. Why do you need a CV? The purpose of a CV or resume is to get an interview. There is no other purposes, literally. It doesn't have any other purpose. People have look at your CV. I want to talk to this person. How to make sure that you want to talk to this person? There should be some great results that you already done this in the past successfully, and you can bring the same value, this experience to your next employer, right? To the next team. So it should be a story with clear numbers, with clear outcomes, what you have changed, not what you have done, but what you have changed. Okay, increase year-to-year revenue 30% by developing new channels in South Asia market, whatever. So second thing, how to outstand. Because when you're applying to the job, you're getting into ATS, applicant tracking system. Most of the big companies, they use either Workday, Lever, Greenhouse, etc. Most of these ATS systems, they're like There's no fancy AI actually inside. There is just dumb filters, which is asking you questions. Hey, do you have 5 years of relevant experience? Or do you speak English? Or do you need a visa sponsorship? Do you live in the location where we actually open the role? Because, for example, the company is not planning to relocate or do not have money to sponsor the candidates from outside. Obviously, if you say no, we just put the simple filter and we say, okay, we reject all the people who said no without even reading their CVs. Another thing that you have to take into account, if you're a well-known company, for example, if you're Google or if you are, I don't know, any well-known brand, you have thousands of applications. If you open a role, for example, for marketing manager, no matter if you're a mid-sized company with pretty known brand, in one day you will receive more than 900 applicants in 24 hours. Obviously, 95% of them will be irrelevant at all. This is the most important thing to always keep in mind, relevance. They will be relevant, but the problem is that it's so difficult to outstand and to be noticed among all the thousands, even if you're super great, you have incredible experience, you have polished CV, you were in Stanford, etc. But you are among these thousands and thousands and thousands of people, you will not be noticed. Like I don't know any recruiter who loves to go through all the thousands applications and screen them. Nobody does it. What they do, there is a little tab, the name is referrals. Usually there are 10 people, max 15. And it's so easy to go through this one. Why? Because first of all, most of the people are biased, as in negatively or positively. We usually bias towards people who are like us, who were in the same schools like us. Hey, I graduated from Masada. I like people from Masada, same. Like I was working at BCG. I like people from BCG, same as for anyone else. And the thing is that when you see referrals, you get a positive bias because these people will refer my colleagues. My colleagues vouched for these people. It means they know our company already. They will not recommend bad people, right? So you already have this kind of positive bias. And to read 10 to 15 CVs is easier. So answering your question, the best way to get through all this AI screening or whatever screening is either to be referred, but ideally to be referred by the hiring manager. How to be referred by a hiring manager? You have to text them. You have to find, for example, you want a job as a software engineer. Who's hiring software engineers? Probably engineering manager or director of engineering or vice president of engineering or CTO if it's a smaller company. So you finding all these people, you sending them your CV and saying, hey, I used to developing these mobile apps for 10 years and that technologies, etc., etc. I built the app. We had 100 millions of users. We generate $1 million revenue. Perfect. I want to talk to this guy. And and it's very easy to stand out. The best way to get an interview is to be referred by the hiring manager.
That's a golden nugget right there. That's actually how I landed my.
No
I don't
AI.
Yeah, exactly. I think Danny, you may not. Danny and I worked together in the past in the same startup, and I actually joined that startup because I DM'd the CEO on LinkedIn for an interview for a school project. Funny enough, he used to work as a teacher in the same university as I was. So he was like, as you said, same university, cool, yeah, for sure, let's talk. And that interview for my school project ended up in a job offer for what it turned out to be not only my internship, but also for my first 3 years of experience. So that was validating the point that you just mentioned.
Actually,
that worked.
Another fun fact here, I did the same in the previous company, and I got hired and rejected at the same time. So basically,
what does that mean?
I sent a DM to my previous boss before I joined that company, and I also applied through the website. No one saw the application, so they just whenever I was talking to my boss, blah, blah, he liked me, and the same time I received an email from him, hey, let's move on. They closed the position, and automatically this email saying that unfortunately you have not been selected was triggered to everyone, and I was there.
So I didn't know that. That's funny.
That's cool to know.
You see?
Um,
You see? Yeah.
yeah,
So basically
yeah,
you're validating everything I said. Never apply
yeah,
for the job. Never
yeah.
go to ATS. Don't send your CV. And another thing is which is really good about referrals that nobody think about it. When you refer people, usually when you're inside the organization and you refer people to closer, because recruiting is extremely expensive. It's extremely expensive. To hire someone, to replace someone is super costly thing for the business, okay? And companies are trying to reduce this cost. So they introduce a referral program. So basically, if you know great people, we can gonna pay you a bonus, right? It usually works in mid-size, big size,
Yeah,
even small
yeah.
startups. This works very well because to hire an engineer is like around 7 to 10 to 15K agency fees, while for the referral we pay like 1,000, 2,000, which is good for our employees because 2K, okay, you can go on some holidays maybe somewhere for the Mallorca, so
Farther.
and for you it's great, for the company it's great. And the point about referral programs that nobody talk about is that if you applied and you got referred, we usually have little condition that this candidate shouldn't apply for the role before. Then you're going to be eligible for the referral bonus. So this is someone that you proactively vouch and introduce to the company, not like someone who. So I usually say don't apply, be referred. So,
Right.
and if you apply, then the person will not receive the bonus.
Okay, that's another golden nugget. I didn't know that part. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Elena, you've been working on your own startup for the past 3 years already, which is called Kvistly. It's also in the line of onboarding and also in the touch of human resources. Why don't you tell us a little bit of what did you came up? Because if you go to the website, it's quizzes for sales teams, onboarding, and so on. How did you come up with that idea?
So we come up with this idea in 2020 when we started working remotely. We had teams in different locations and we had very cool offices. And all our culture was around office activities. We always had some gatherings, parties, etc., etc. But with COVID, everything has changed. First of all, we closed all our offices. Everybody started working remotely. I remember we had like payment providers, so we put everyone on service agreements, and people could live wherever they want. That's how I actually ended up in Barcelona, because I used to live in London, and I was like, oh, now we work remotely. I can work from Barcelona. Why not? So I moved here as well. But the problem was how we gonna engage people and keep our culture and still get know each other, still be in contact, even in remote setup. So we was thinking about what we can do, and I was like, okay, maybe we can play a game, like a quiz. And I remember the first one I created in PowerPoint. It was very basic, like with basic questions, etc. But it was fun. People love quizzes. People love trivias. And then my colleague, and now as a co-founder, Alex, he come up with the idea of, hey, because he's an engineer. I'm not an engineer at all, so I use PowerPoint for that. And he was like, maybe I can create something cool. So he created like a super basic, like it was a wireframe, and we come up with engaging mechanic of betting. So before each question, we show the context of the question, and people make a bet how likely they answer correctly. And more you bet, more you gain. But if you're answering correctly, you lose your bet. So this was like and it's still our main mechanic actually to engage the people. So we created a quiz about our own company. So like, for example, history of Sweatcoin, obviously. So it will be some historical facts, and those who work longer, they probably will bet more. Or for example, Sweatcoin people, the context of, and then the question, what is the most popular name in our company? Is always Alex. We have a lot of Alex. And this we start playing every month. It was very simple game. The only problem was to create content, because I was spending like around 3 to 4 hours to create a game that time, thinking about different facts, because I was like including geographical questions, historical questions, some art questions, etc. But we allocated all our resources that we had for office parties. Now we invested in the cool presence, so that people in the remote setup will need, like, for example, cool earphones, noise canceling, great chair, some, like, I don't know, something nice for your home, like, because it was during pandemic. And we started doing it every month. People loved it. And later, when I already left, I was working at Bumble. And 2 years later, when ChatGPT was introduced, ChatGPT 3, I think, I was thinking, and Alex and I, we already were not working at Sweatcoin. He was working as a CTO in one health tech startup in San Francisco. And we were, hey, maybe, what do you think if we will recreate the same thing that we already done? Because the main problem was to create content for the games. But with AI, we can do it super quickly. So we started playing around and we created like our first MVP, like I remember in 3 months or something. We started playing with our friends, it worked out. And I think our first client we got after 5 months we started. So our first client was the company, they hired us for the New Year party to create a New Year quiz for them. And this is how basically, we started the business. So the idea was like internal tool to solve the problem of engagement and remote setup.
Beyond content generation, do you use AI in some other way?
Internally?
No, at the moment is, I mean, for as a product, we have API with ChatGPT for Omni, I think, and or 5, I don't remember which one. But we create, basically you can create a quiz, a trivia game in 1 minute about anything in the world, or you can just upload your materials, for example, about your company, about your team, or about yourself for your birthday party and to see who's your best friend. And yeah, in 1 minute you're gonna get the game. But internally, of course, I use it every day. My best 3 friends are Canva, ChatGPT, and Anxiety.
Anxiety?
Anxiety. See, that's not an AI. That's something we deal with. It's also one of our
You got me
closest
here,
friends.
actually. I thought there was actually an AI tool called Anxiety, to be honest. You really got me.
Anxiety.ai. It's all day they're
So let's
pushing you. Are
create
you sure
one.
you're doing okay? Like, are you sure this is right?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
they
let's
are-
create one. It's
are
gonna
gone
be
very
super
far.
viral, I think.
We're gonna buy the domain right away and get the credits. It's taken. Fair
It's
enough.
taken.
Fair enough.
No.
And then, Elena, we usually keep our podcast around 40 minutes. We got 7 minutes left before we go, and we also have our last, closing tradition, which will come after this question that I also asked earlier. What message do you want to throw to the world now that you're here that we haven't asked yet?
About AI or about
About your
or
space,
about
and ideally
business, or
if it's business and where the world is at right now, considering how much is everyone worrying about this AI space and taking jobs and hirings and all your background. If there's a
yeah,
question that you would
I
like
would
to be asked.
to be what you should worry about or what you shouldn't worry about. I think we shouldn't worry about AI. We shouldn't worry about the things that that we cannot control. It is already here. It will be with us, I think, forever now. And the thing is, you have to think about how you're gonna adapt and how you're gonna use AI to elevate yourself, to be more productive, become more valuable talent and professional for the very quickly changing world. So I see a huge panic right now, for example, because I'm still in HR space and we sell to HR people. So if you know any HR people, actually, you can recommend us.
I used to work in Factorial.
The
I don't know how you guys can link up there. Do you know Factorial?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I know
Yeah.
them. I know them very well. They are HRE system, but we are, yeah, for sure. We are a little bit different products because they're more about management, while we are more about learning and engagement. But the thing is about what I see is a huge panic around, for example, Amazon recently announced a huge round of layoffs,
Yeah.
okay, because of AI. But what you do not see behind, you see in the newspapers, Amazon is laying off 10,000 people because of AI. Not because people will be replaced by AI, etc. No. Why they are laying off people? Because they want to invest more in AI inside the organization to be more productive. Of course, any company, any business is existing for the sake of revenue, right? If AI is something that helps to boost revenue streams or decrease the cost, is something that we should invest in. But what people see that, oh, because of AI, we will lose our jobs. No, because AI requires a lot of investment. It's $1 trillion economy. People you need to pay a lot of money to implement AI on such a huge scale, but you have to get this monies from somewhere. So you're is the CFO, you start thinking, oh, okay, where we can cut our costs. And you see, okay, here we have functions that are doubling each other. Here we have 2 centers in Europe that are doing basically the same thing. Let's close one of them. Here, for example, we already automated the first line of customer support. We don't need these people, etc. So it's not like AI is replacing you. No, the company is relocating resources to invest in something new, to innovate, and basically maybe one day introduce better line of support without robotic voices. But you have to get some money from where, and then you start optimizing your costs. So what I see now, that people are worrying a little bit too much about that, but you have to think behind the scene. It's not like robots are replacing us. It's just business trying to relocate the resources to invest in the areas where you see the more perspective to make more money in the end and to be more lean and smarter. So I would say for people, we have to worry less and action more on the things that we will not be able to change or control.
Amazing. I haven't thought of it like this way, the relocation of resources to actually invest bigger in AI, other than just like adding AI where these people used to be. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be this way. So it's I had never seen it this way. It's interesting. Okay, it's time to get to the last round of questions. We throw a few like fire questions, more personal, not so AI focused. Sometimes even ourselves are like, oh, we are speaking to an audience that wants to learn about AI, but so therefore we speak about and we mention AI all the time, but at some point it's like, I need some sort of a break. Like everything is about AI. So let's make this a slightly more personal. First question is, what skills have you developed in the past 3 years that are there any skills that you have developed in the past 3 years that you didn't expect to have 3 years ago?
Mhm. First of all, is prioritization. It's
Okay.
completely changed. Like when you're incorporated and when you're the business owner, prioritization is a key skill because you cannot do everything. For example, we're a small startup and I'm covering everything related to business. So prioritization is a skill. First of all, we're going to prioritize everything related to money and basically our clients, and then all other things. Second thing is a networking and speaking and pitching, because ability to pitch precisely, clearly about what you're doing, for who you're doing, and how are you doing this is like extremely, I would say, and like it helps you really not only in business but also in careers. And I teach the same thing to my clients who are looking for jobs, because most of the people cannot answer the question who they are. But while you're in a startup world, you get this essence of elevator pitch. And networking is one of the most simple. My job was always about networking, but in a startup world, again, about the prioritization, you cannot network with everybody. You have to prioritize people who are actually gonna impact your life and your business, and it's also a great skill.
Sweet. Totally agree with both. Then, what do you like to do on your free time? That's something I always like to learn about people because it's something you don't see on a LinkedIn post.
Yeah, well, when you're a startup founder, you don't have much free time, unfortunately. But I really find a way to disconnect. Like I do workout a lot, like 5 times a week, because this is the way to disconnect and like literally cross the line between work and in the evening. It's like very highly intense workout, 45 minutes, and later to sleep well, because again, anxiety is something that is cured by action and physical activity as well. I really love to travel, and I have really bad, like guilty pleasure. I really like series.
You really like what?
And
Like
series,
series? Okay,
TV
got it. Yeah,
series, yeah,
same. I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
you. Which one is your favorite? Or two top
Now
that you
I'm
like a
watching.
lot?
It depends, because they're changing all the time.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Now I'm watching every week. I'm watching the morning show, and also it's a great, like, because it's a corporate America. You know, you got, and
yeah,
now they all
yeah,
talking about AI. I was like,
yeah,
it's my life.
yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah,
And
obviously
then
meeting with friends, and yes, normal, like something basic.
yeah, socializing.
Mhm.
We really do need a bit of socializing to get that from inside after spending so many hours in front of a laptop. And then a question that we're asking, last two questions that we ask every founder lately. A book that you would recommend, your favorite, like a book that you like that you would recommend to anyone.
The two books I read recently, not recently actually, I read a long time ago, but I love them. The first one is Atomic Habits.
Okay.
I love this book. It's all about like how to build good habits and how to eliminate the bad one. And the key thing is like that you have to increase the distance to bad habits. For example, if you're spending your time with the phone, like put the phone out somewhere in the desk, you know, close it. And if you want to good habit, like for example, physical activity and a workout, find a studio near your home, which is like 2, 3, 5 minutes away. So you will be able to go there and do not commute. And another one is if you work with international environment, especially in our case, we sell our product to different clients in different countries. It's a culture map by Erin Mayer, is to understand how people from different cultures are making decisions based on their social, political, and cultural background. For example, do not be surprised why, for example, person from Argentina or person from the US or UK or Netherlands are behaving, they all behave different. And this book is really answering a lot of questions. What is behind and why they're making these decisions and why they communicate this way. For example, Dutch people are very straight to the point and very direct, and you shouldn't be offended by their directness, while people in Spain or Italy, they'll be more like smooth in terms of feedback, etc. But
Hmm.
yeah, and this is very, very good book to
Again,
understand better. The Culture Map.
the culture map. Got it. Got it. Ah, it's right there.
It's on my
Ah,
desk.
nice. Nice.
By Erin
Sweet.
Mayer. She's a
Got
professor
it.
at INSEAD, so super
Nice.
great book.
And the last question, which in the past episodes that we recorded needed a little bit more of context, so we're gonna put the context before the question. So we are doing, back to AI again, a fuck, marry, kill of AI tools that you use. Being fuck, an AI tool that you would play around for an afternoon just to see how it goes, but then ditch it. And then another tool that that you need and will live forever with, and then a third tool which you would kill that you would want like outside of the planet. So what would that be?
In AI, it should be AI
And
tool.
tools that you use in your day to day.
I use, well, obviously, ChatGPT I use all the time. I use Perplexity. I love it to find information. It works so well. Even the free version, I love it. I
For marry
use,
for the long term, because if we
yeah,
want one
yeah,
for fuck, marry, kill, like one for each.
yeah. To kill, I don't know, any enterprise tool, like, oh my God, any like CRM or ADS system, Workday. Can someone kill Workday?
Work. Okay, wow,
No,
good.
nobody gonna kill them.
No,
But yeah, but every time I'm sorry, but every time, because you used to work in Factorial, you know very well all
yeah.
these HR systems as well. And every time I was opening Workday, I literally had existential crisis. I was thinking what
Wow,
I'm doing and with my life.
wow.
Why am I doing that? Why it's
That
so
is
bad?
something you don't want to build when you have a user thinking that of the tool. You don't want to be there. All
No,
right.
no, no.
No,
I
you
have
go,
one
Elena.
last question. Of
Danny, it's
course,
your time to
it's
shine.
tradition for me to
Yeah.
throw these super random questions. So imagine you wake up tomorrow and you discover that you have an allergy for computers. So you can no
Hmm?
longer use a computer again. What would you do for a living?
I can use my phone.
No, no
Because-
devices. No devices.
No, you could
No
use your phone, but
devices.
it's like that you are in this. You are not supposed to be following this digital era movement. You have to find another thing to earn a living. What would that be?
Mhm.
Or
Oh,
would you
I
die?
don't know. It's a very difficult question. I never thought about that. Get married, man. Find a rich husband.
Amazing, amazing.
Best,
I did not see that coming.
best answer ever. Actually, we are building like this leaderboard of what books people are recommending, what tools people are killing. Now we need one like what do people if they wouldn't
Yeah.
they
What
wouldn't use
what would you
computers.
do if screens didn't exist? Get married. That's top one in the ranking. I love it.
Awesome.
Amazing. Well, Elena, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.